All of us knew. All of us saw it coming. The Last of Us TV show collapsing, imploding on itself within season 2. Inevitably, we get to the point where golf clubs find new elaborate places to call homes, aka Joel's skull. We knew that this will happen. I personally was honestly surprised that this didn't happen faster because from season 1, episode 1, even before that, honestly, even in Game of Thrones, whenever I looked at Bella Ramsey, I was like, damn, is she gonna start eating dirt by the handful or what's happening here? Because she's clearly retarded. And when I said, everyone was like, oh, how dare you? You're a misogynist, you're evil. And then some rando dude on the casting set says the obvious, hey, you know what? I think she's retarded. And he's called a hero? What? I was calling her retarded years before that happened. Why am I not hailed as a hero? In any case, none of this is honestly surprising.
The Last of Us Season 2, a TV show that has everybody talking about it right now for a multitude of different reasons. This particular TV show has now been started to get review bombed, supposedly, according to the mainstream media, and we're going to get into that later in this.
I love the concept of review bombing, not only just because it goes in only one direction, but because review bombing is effectively saying, we can't do wrong, we never do wrong, everything we do is right, and it's your fault for being a stupid pleb who does not understand how great this thing that we did is. And you should feel bad for not liking it. Great concept. No wonder everyone agrees with these people when they say, "Oh, you review bombed our terrible show." Indeed.
This video, but The Last of Us Season 2 is getting backlash for a multitude of reasons. This is a TV show that has decided that it is going to, in fact, not only just follow what the games did, which was already a controversial decision at its own time, but now it was going to add in a couple of other things into the TV show, like gender ideology, for example, or even throwing in nonsense about how Ellie's apparently going to become a dad. Yes.
God, I love it. Imagine this thing being. I mean, her being your mom is already dreadful enough, but imagine she comes up to you and says, I'm your dad. Ah.
This is some of the biggest things that people are arguing about. But ultimately, from the alleged review bombing to the overall media gaslighting and the ever-growing disconnect between Hollywood and its audience, there is ultimately a lot to unpack when it comes to The Last of Us Season 2. But more than that, we're going to take a look at the state of modern entertainment as a whole and ask the real question that nobody seems to be asking or wanting an answer for that matter in Hollywood, which is, what if people just don't like your product anymore? Is it a review bomb, or do people simply just don't like it? So shout out to the 85,600 legends that are watching this video right now. And if you are not subscribed, if you are part of the 44% that are not subscribed to this channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. So let's get into
it's over when you reach 60% are subscribed already.
The elephant in the room, which is the backlash about The Last of Us Season 2. So after episode 2 aired, review sites and social media went on fire. Obviously, everybody knows this, right? And it almost seems as if it's all planned. Everybody sees how all these articles come out the moment a controversial TV show airs. It's not even an hour or two after it airs, and suddenly everybody had them ready. It makes you wonder as if they all start planning this beforehand. But again, the social media websites went on fire, but not in the way.
Listen, no one's mad about the lesbian sex scene, okay? But everyone is mad about an ugly lesbian sex scene. That's the real issue here, okay?
That HBO probably hoped that it would. Negative user scores started pouring in like crazy, and like clockwork, mainstream media outlets decided to circle the wagon and say, hey, this is review bombing, this is misogynistic trolls, this is bigots who can't handle storytelling that are very complex, right? They came out with every single excuse that they possibly can as to why people didn't like this particular episode.
I love the term media literacy, okay? At the end of the day, us stupid plebs who consume product are just not media literate enough to understand these things, I guess, at the end of the day. I mean, I probably should go to school to get an education in media literacy or something.
episode or why people weren't liking this particular season. The simple fact of the matter is that people aren't allowed to not like something without getting called bigots, without getting called racist, without getting called misogynist. But Hollywood and the entertainment industry as a whole, because we have the same issues happening in gaming right now, they all seem to have forgotten that this could be a potential truth, right? You cannot like something and also not be a racist. You cannot like something and not be a misogynist. But to these people who love to fail upwards
These are some complicated concepts on average.
and who never want to take accountability for literally anything that they do, it's easy for them to just blame those things because that way they can place you into a bubble that they like to keep you in. It's the same script that we've seen time and time again. But did any of them stop to consider that maybe, just maybe, this show isn't really that good, or just maybe the episode that aired, perhaps a
Nah.
lot of people did not like it, perhaps it didn't resonate with a lot of people, right? The simple fact is The Last of Us season 2 has a lot of people who are
How could a person that looks more akin to a potato and genetically more likely is a potato not resonate with you? How is that possible?
watching a TV show who have never played the video games before. And ironically, the decisions that were made in the video games are also decisions that were hated in the TV show. Shocking, right? It's almost as if people just didn't like the creative decisions that were made in The Last of Us Part 2, because that's what season 2 was made off of. But again, there's a growing pattern in entertainment media where literally any negative reception to a politically charged or identity driven show or episode is immediately going to be dismissed as hate. There's no engagement with the critiques whatsoever. There's no self-reflection on why people might be saying those things. They just blame the audience and move on. And that is simply not analysis. That's just propaganda. So then you have Hollywood of today, where they just seem literally incapable of taking an L. Hollywood has taken so many L's over the last, I don't even know how long now, between the MCU failures and between all the box office bombs over at the DCU, everything that's been happening in Disney, they have taken L after L after L, and yet it just seems as if they don't want to ever acknowledge it. When a project underperforms, whether it's a movie, a show, a reboot, or whatever, they double down and blame the fans. They say it's your fault for not getting it. You know, that whole media literacy thing.
Well, to be honest, every time something bad happens, it's never your fault because, well, do you do mistakes? No, you're you. You're perfect and special and whatnot. So, it's probably someone else's mistake. Especially in the situation where you admit your mistake, you're probably going to become jobless real quick. So, it does make sense why everything in what is effectively in the public eye becomes exactly like this. Because, again, these people understand. If they just come out and say, yes, yes, The Last of Us was a horrible decision, the people above them are like, why do we keep paying this guy a salary? I mean, he just did 3 bad decisions in a row. Might as well just try a new guy. It can't really get a lot worse than this, can it? So all of them try to avoid this. Again, remember, this is a truth in if you want to stay at the top in any business, any firm, anything, remember, remember, telling your boss that they're wrong is never almost worth it, okay? Even if you do objectively right, even if you objectively save a situation from a disaster, if you make your superior look bad or stupid doing it, well, you're not long for that job, okay? You're gonna be replaced. It doesn't matter if you do good. What matters is the fact that you made someone look bad, and they have more power than you. So you never speak out against them that much.
They say it's your fault for not being open-minded enough because, you know, you're just a bigot. The denial is basically toxic, right? We have an environment of toxic positivity, which is stifling creativity. What we're watching isn't just a bad season of a once promising show for a lot of people, because a lot of people actually enjoyed the first season of The Last of Us, even though the particular episode
I hated it. I got to episode 3 or 4, which was the super gay one that literally had nothing to do with The Last of Us. Yeah, that one. The episode that promoted self-deletion, it literally made self-deletion be the core aspect of the episode, and that be like romantic and cool and whatnot. Great episode. What can I say? Great episode. 10 out of 10.
That everybody likes to talk about, the big gay episode, had a lot of hatred around it because they basically changed a lot of the story that happened in the video game to make a let's just call it very, very toxic relationship between two men into this massive big gay love story of true love, which never happened, right? So anyway, what ends up happening is that people are not liking the TV show based off what they used to like before, and we're watching the entertainment industry eat itself alive. There is just no humility left whatsoever, no interest in learning what the audiences actually want, and it's just a bunch of elite assholes that are patting themselves on the back for being supposedly brave, while viewers check out in droves, and then they lead the viewership down worse and worse. But Hollywood used to tell great stories. Now it basically tells you how to think and calls you names if you disagree. It really is kind of sad at the end of the day. These people don't ever want to admit that there's other people out there that do not have the same sentiment as them. They do not have the same mindset as them. There's a lot of people out there that genuinely think different from them. And it's funny because, again, I keep going back to the initial Last of Us 2 video game. The decisions that were made by Neil Druckmann with The Last of Us Part 2.
Well, the reason why these people can't accept that you think differently is because they are looking through life as weak. And being weak minded, weak of will, weak of body are horrible things that lead most people down an extremely weak path. And that is a path of survival based on numbers, based on the acceptance of the people around them. When I hear something, I'm not, and I want to say something, I am not thinking about, oh, I hope no one calls me out on this opinion. No, I just say what I think because I have nothing to fear. But people who are weak, they filter everything throughout social acceptance first. Before they give any opinion, they think about it. Will society accept what I say? Will the people next to me say that I'm wrong? Will that get me in trouble? And these are weak people. And this is how these things permeate. Because they need to be always socially acceptable. And when someone else comes out that is not doing the same as them, they are pointing them out as someone bad because they just don't abide by the same rules as them. They have freedom, and they hate that.
2 are resonating with The Last of Us Season 2. The same decisions that people hated back then are the same decisions that people hate now. And it's funny because the people that hate it now never even knew about the decisions that were made in the game in the first place because they never
True.
played it. So let's talk about now the show's lead. We got Bella Ramsey. So Bella Ramsey is the actress that actually plays Ellie. And since season 1,
Bro, okay, listen. Do we fact check this? Ah, no, no. Game of Thrones, I guess, is gonna be the third one. Well, admittedly, this is Google, and Google is not gonna give you. Google is not gonna suggest to you is Bella Ramsey retarded as the first obvious Google search that actually is real.
since season 1, Ramsey has obviously been very public about her gender identity, referring to herself as non-binary and using both
Hell yeah, I'm also non-binary, okay? Because that requires no effort. You get to tell everyone about it because otherwise, how would they ever know? And it makes you feel special. And I mean, Bella Ramsey is already like super quadruple special, okay? She's retarded, she's autistic, and I think we can separate those two, at least for her. She's rich, her family's rich, she's living a life of luxury, she never had any adversity in her life, she's a TV star, she's known, she has fans, and there's always a bunch of people who constantly will agree with her no matter what, and I'm running out of fingers. God damn it. Yeah.
she and they pronouns or whatever the case may be. The identity is now overshadowed.
But yeah, she needs to be more special. Now she needs to add some kind of gender thing above all of these things that she already got through hard work and dedication, not just by being born in the right place. God, I love these people.
Shadowing the performance. You have critics and media that are so obsessed with her identity that they don't even talk about her actual acting as Ellie. They only talk about what her identity can bring to the character of Ellie. It actually is kind of sad. They refuse to acknowledge legitimate concerns about her overall portrayal as Ellie and are so focused on her pronouns. Is she good in the role? The question is almost too bad to ask. Nobody even asked that question. And then that's the problem. Identity is not a shield from criticism. A performance should stand on its own merits, and you're allowed to say that this isn't what I pictured for Ellie without being labeled as a transphobe or phobe in general, or I don't know, racist. I really don't know, misogynist. There are so many names out there that they call you the moment you give any kind of criticism, and it's a bit ridiculous. Then we have Pedro Pascal. Oh man, Pedro Pascal, Mr. Femboy himself. He was,
God damn it, I hate this dude, okay? Pedro Pascal. Okay, when I go around grabbing women by the hand without knowing them or saying anything, they start screaming and the police show up. When Pedro Pascal does it, oh, it's cute. Oh, look at him. He's emotional. I'm a creep, though. God damn. I get no recognition, okay? I get no recognition for my deeds, and these people just do whatever the hell they want, and it's labeled as special. No wonder everyone hates them.
once a beloved figure, believe it or not, in fandoms like The Mandalorian and the Game of Thrones. Pascal has increasingly turned his public persona into a political platform, which is so ironic, by the way, because Gina Carano got fired for merely mentioning anything political. Then he posted inflammatory messages on social media, publicly supported controversial causes, and often uses interviews to make political statements rather than talk about his work. And here's the reason why, okay? The reason why he does that is because that is how he maintains his job. That is how he actually keeps getting more and more work. Have you guys noticed that Pedro Pascal is literally everywhere? The guy is everywhere in Hollywood, and it is because, quite frankly, the man says the right
This is insane. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
thing. He does the right thing. He does whatever he is told, and he never questions it. And that is the reason why he keeps getting roles. So anytime he gets an interview opportunity, he is going to try to maintain what has given him the opportunities in the first place, and that is making politically charged statements. But again, free speech is a right, sure, whatever, he's fine to say whatever he wants to say, but audiences are getting tired of being preached at, which again, they have a right to be tired of that as well. Actors today forget that fans have fallen in love with the characters, not the actual political talking points of the actor playing.
By the way, this stuff about the Google thing, I actually remember seeing a couple of these when it came out, and it was fun, it was interesting. But now it's fake. Now it's all just fake.
Political talking points of the actor playing the character. Pascal is no longer seen as Joel anymore. He's seen as the guy who called people Nazis on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, it's so ridiculous that this man seems to forget that, yes, obviously your thoughts are your own, which I'm so tired of them putting that in their Twitter bios. My thoughts are my own, as if that's going to separate you from what you do publicly in terms of your company or the character that you're portraying on screen. But again, that's neither here nor there. Mr. My thoughts is my own. Yeah, at the end of the day, people watching you play Joel and then remembering, oh, this is the guy who thinks I'm a Nazi. Yeah, clearly that's going to be a problem. And then when actors begin to blur the line between performance and activism, they essentially end up risking alienating half of their audience before the show even starts. Now, here's the thing. The Last of Us Season 2 has the namesake, obviously, of The Last of Us, which is huge. There is going to be a built-in audience immediately simply because of the video games. There is going to be a built-in audience because of how big the name actually
True, but these things don't last that long.
is. Even though The Last of Us Part 2 was a failure overall compared to the first one, it is still a game that has a lot of people that know about it, and that is going to allow a built-in fan base to be basically utilized for this particular season. And then coupled with the fact that you had a lot of normies discover The Last of Us from the first season, and you end up with a situation where you have a really good start for a season 2. The Last of Us season 2 actually opened pretty well. I believe it opened bigger than the first season, but then viewership started to drop little by little, especially after episode.
You know what I don't actually understand? Which always seems really strange to me. Because I really refuse to believe that people like this exist, but you have season 1, and let's say it has 10 million views. Peak. Okay? Episode 1, 5 million views, but the peak episode is like 15 million views. Like, do people who not watch the series just watch the peak episode because of some reason? Like how does this even happen? How is the average watch amount for a series like 10 million and then the peak episode is like 15 million? Like, do people who not watch the series just decided, hey, I'm gonna watch the ending of this series? Is that a thing? Is that a real thing? And same with season 1 and season 2. When a show is critically acclaimed season 1, season 2 always has vastly more viewers than season 1 in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases. How does that happen? Do these people just skip season 1? Like, why? I don't get it. Can someone explain to me what's going on there? Because I can't figure it out. I can't wrap my mind around this. Are there seriously people who hear, oh, this show is good, let me just jump into season fucking 5? Really?
Episode 2, which we're going to get into. So let's talk about the reception of what happened after episode 2. Social media was a war zone. It was on fire. Fans who voiced any criticism were immediately attacked and dogpiled. Forums like Reddit were locked or heavily moderated. What else is new, right?
Nice.
Reddit is a place where if you go there and you try to talk about a piece of entertainment that has any sort of leftist ideology to it and you talk bad about it, you might as well guarantee that it's going to be locked down. You know, they're the kind of place where they want to be toxically positive. They don't want any sort of criticism, negativity whatsoever. It's got to be positive and only positive. But in any case, it was heavily moderated, and obviously comment sections were filled with bots or curated positive vibes only posts. And yet you cannot hide the numbers. Engagement dropped overall after episode 2 big time. Viewer retention dipped completely. Discussions that once dominated the internet now feel artificially inflated, manufactured almost to make it seem like there's more excitement than there is. But keep in mind, there has been multiple iterations, and shout out to Master the TDS, who has caught companies utilizing bots over on X in order to fake boost engagement to make it seem like people.
Oh, this is nothing new, but like, I mean, if you're any of these companies and you're not artificially boosting your engagement with this stuff, kind of failing.
Are actually more interested than they are. The conversation almost feels fake in a way because people are too scared to be honest, but that's the beautiful thing about YouTube. We can talk our voice, put it out there, and people can resonate with it or not. And chances are people usually resonate more with an honest take versus a take that's just going to, you know, give into their beliefs and do this whole toxic positivity nonsense. So when honesty is punished, people are going to walk away, and whether they tell you or not and they do it silently, that's up to them. But trust me that there are people that are walking.
Well, to be fair, I don't like toxic positivity on both sides, okay? Because toxic positivity is not just something these woke lunatics do, okay? The other side also does it. I don't like extremes of both sides. They're kind of bad, and they're kind of really annoying.
Walking away from this TV show, and they're doing it without saying a peep. There are people that are walking away silently. It also happened to Doctor Who, by the way. So then The Last of Us season 2, again, this is just a symptom of a much bigger problem. The disease is much bigger, as people like to say. Hollywood is collapsing essentially under its own ego. Writers, actors, executives, all people are more interested in lecturing more than entertaining, and they're replacing compelling characters with ultimately.
Well, when you're enlightened and other people do not understand that your way of seeing things, thinking, and doing things is just so much better, and you're a backwards caveman, well, if you're a kind person, obviously you want to save everyone else from themselves. So there you go. There you go.
Just checkboxes, right? They're rewriting beloved franchises with contempt for the source material and the fans. I don't understand why in Hollywood it seems to be a thing where they don't want you to know the source material understand the source material, or if it's a video game, play the source material. They'll tell you flat out, do not play the video games. They'll tell you flat out, do not read the comic books.
This is true, by the way, if you don't know. I was gonna mention this, but he already did. Like, people in Hollywood seemingly get hired in roles of, what's it called, directors, in all of the roles, the big ones that matter. Seemingly, they get hired based on, do you know the source material? If answer is yes, do you like the source material? And despite the answer, that already is a red flag for them. If you The Witcher, they wanted people who have no idea what the Witcher series even was. All of this, the Halo TV show, also, they just want to take the skin of these franchises, the already built audience, to guarantee some form of success, and then they want to just completely rewrite it to whatever the hell they see fit. Because again, they're better than everyone else. This thing, oh, it's just a game. We're Hollywood. We're bigger. We're better. We're smarter. We're special. So we're gonna rewrite it so it's actually good, and then everyone shits on them. Yeah, it just happens.
They will tell you flat out to be ignorant to whatever you are portraying on screen. They don't want you to read it. They don't want you to know it. They don't want you to understand it, because here's why. They know that that content is good. They know that the script and the writing that is in those comic books, that is in those older video games, they know that it is really good for the most part. And they don't want you to have a preconceived notion as an actor. They don't want you to become a fan. That's the problem, because they know that fans are a lot harder to convince to do dumb stuff with that particular IP. They rather keep you ignorant, and they rather keep you stupid. So that's why they tell people, do not read the original source material. If you are going to work on this project, you are not allowed to do that. We've seen Marvel nosedive completely to Disney's just endless failures.
And yes, I just did erotic texts, if you're wondering. 10 out of 10.
The pattern is pretty clear. People are done being told with what to like. They want good stories.
I mean, okay, listen. The 4 flops of 2023 that cost Disney $1 billion. Hey, when you're already down and in debt multiple tens of billions, what is one more, honestly, at this point? You see, Disney is effectively a monopoly on, well, the movie industry of the world. There is no counterpart to it. The second biggest is probably, honestly, Bollywood, and that's... who the fuck is gonna watch Bollywood? No one. Even though their musical shit is pretty entertaining, not gonna lie. But no one in general. And America's never gonna allow a company that has a little monopoly on a market that exists to fail. So Disney has literally the freedom to be hundreds of trillions in debt if they feel like it, and America is still gonna always bail them out if anything bad happens. And all of these companies that are giving money to Disney to do these stupid decisions, I can bet my ass that some of these companies are like, Disney is after $1 billion again. And if they give them money, they know that the debt that Disney is going to accumulate is going to be so much more than anyone who pays it back. And Disney is guaranteed to never go bankrupt because of America. Because the American government will 100% protect it. Again, the FBI is going to protect Disney from bankruptcy, and they probably still have a lot of money from those drug sales. Hey, those drug boats exist for a reason. That reason is money to keep Disney afloat, okay? It is what it is. So, these companies are going to give Disney money, billions, with literally the hopes that it's never going to pay it back, but they know that as time progresses, they're going to still recuperate their investment, and after that, it's just free money nonstop because Disney can't go bankrupt. It's impossible. I have talked about a lot of companies going bankrupt in the entertainment industry, primarily gaming, but I never talk about Disney going bankrupt, and this is why. Disney is literally never, absolutely never even close to a risk of bankruptcy. Because America will literally not allow it.
You know, they want relatable characters, escapism, not homework assignments wrapped up in beautiful CGI, although to be fair, the CGI really hasn't been beautiful lately. Have you seen some of the latest Marvel movies? Not exactly the greatest, but until the industry essentially accepts this, it's just going to keep getting worse. That's just how it goes. You know, things get worse before they get better. So ultimately, this leads us to
Well, ultimately, this leads with me being done. Anyway, that was Hypnotic. 10 out of 10. Great video, different style, what's happening? Holy! Whoa! Damn! AI. Anyway, have a nice day. Bye-bye.